This video is part 2 of our two-part series involving modifications and design changes on kayaks. Particularly, we're talking about my two Wilderness System 115 Ride kayaks. In the first video, we talked about some general things that I've done in past years. In this one, we're going to focus on design changes that I've recently done so that I can do spider rigging on my kayaks. I saved some of the design modifications that I've done in the past for this video because I'm having to modify them again in order to use them for spider rigging. And one more thing, some of the design modifications that I made in the past, as well as some of the design modifications that I had to make for this project, will be specific to only one of the kayaks because of the differences between the two kayaks. Most people who spider rig use from 4 to 6 or even more rods, but I decided early on in this project that 3 rods were about the max that you would be able to use effectively in a kayak. What made this project easy was the sidetrack system that the kayaks have on each side. And in the case of the 115X, it even has a small central track. And this was going to be the key to my design. Mounting rod holders on these outside rails is something I've been doing for years when I was trolling for white bass. So the only issue was how to mount the rod in the center and still have enough space for doing the things that you need to do while you're fishing. So what I did was screw a permanent rod holder base in the floor of the Ride 115, and for the Ride 115X I used one of the same mounts in the floor track that I had been using in the side track for trolling. Using a fish locator for trolling and for spider rigging is a must. So to get the locator out of the way of the center rod, I got a little bit longer ram mount so that I could set it either to the right or to the left. My Ride X kayak came with an option to use pedals, and there was a rectangular hole in the bottom of the boat to accommodate that, but I did not want pedals. So what I did was cover that hole with some aluminum and put my transducer in there to protect it from the rocks and from the trees when I was either running my kayak up a lake with electric trolling motor or floating down a river. But when I added the rod holder in the center of the boat, I had to change and reroute the wiring system from the transducer up to the locator. On my Ride 115, I'd had an externally mounted transducer on a swing hinge, and when I added the rod in the center, I had to redesign and remount the swing hinge so that I could swing that transducer up and down as I needed it. Well, our design work is all done and we're ready to do some testing on the water, and I'm going to do that in the 115X. And it's all loaded in the truck and ready to go. But before I leave, I want to show you the 115 all set and ready to go. The rods are in position. Everything is just like it would be if we were going to put it in the water. This is what it looks like when you're sitting inside the kayak. Okay, we're finished with all the talking and let's go fishing. Well, we have our Ride 115X all set up and ready to launch into the lake and do a test run. I have my rods in the up position or traveling position now, and there's no interference at all with the paddling. I had to move my seat up just a little bit and the center rod back just a little bit to be able to reach it, but Everything's working fine. This setup is really going to work. Well, I really didn't come down here to fish, but everything is feeling so good here. Everything's working out so good. I may just drop a line here and fish a few minutes before I head back. As I'm paddling down through here, I want to fish that spot there on the left, but I noticed that I left my spider rigging weights at home, so that's why my line is leaning back. So I don't know, this may not work at all, but why not try? Well, I'm not believing this. I really didn't expect to catch anything at all in here. I thought there might be some crappie in that brush, but this is not a crappie. Huge white bass. All right, we've got another one. Oh man, that's big. He pulled loose. This is a huge white bass. Well, I'm heading back now, and even fast paddling even fast paddling with my lines in the water. I have no issue at all with this setup. I'm really pleased with this. Well, what a fun little trip this ended up being. I even caught a couple of fish. I didn't intend to do much fishing and didn't do much fishing, but what I did was a lot of fun. And speaking of a lot of fun, it's a lot of fun to play with the kayaks and redesign them and do all the things you can do with them. I hope you've enjoyed watching me play, and I enjoy having you come along with me, and I enjoy your support, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.